Hello, and welcome to another episode of our a brilliant little podcast.
Mm.
I am Ben. I'm joined by, I think we called you the Alwayses last week, didn't we?
As all,
That's right. Yeah,
yeah,
they
the as
as
always.
always. Oh, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Greg,
Hello,
and
Gregory
we have Dan
as
with us.
always. Dan as always.
Um,
Hello.
um, and so this week, I think we was just going to have a bit of a more kind of chill talking session, wasn't we?
I picked it this week. I was like, why don't we just talk about what we've been doing with our time, that we've got lots of extra of it, with video games. How is video games helping us in these times? So maybe, we can learn a little bit from each other about how we can cope in these times. Have I been vague enough? Have we scared the algorithm yet?
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
it's a bit like Rick and Morty, where there's a certain amount of punch cards, and then Morty can pick an adventure. Like we've finally given Greg the reins to pick a
yeah.
podcast.
Well, Greg, why don't you start off with something?
Yeah, I've actually got some good stuff that I've done this week. On several different levels. Okay, are you ready for this, guys? Are you ready for the levels?
Hit me up.
I'll hit
My-
you up. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting excited in my seat. So yes, what I have done is I have procured from it is times where you can't really leave the house, that sort of thing, and I have procured from my storage my PlayStation 1, which
Hooray!
I haven't interacted with in about 20 years. And I was originally waiting to play it with Ozzy or something for a good gift, but that's not going to happen now. So I thought I would break it out and have some nostalgia hit factors, which I have done. I've been having nostalgia week this week.
Hi.
I've been playing these army men games. Maybe you guys have played them, maybe you haven't. And you know what? They do not stand up. Um,
To be fair, all the Army Men games were turd at the time.
well, I can see that now, but at the time I was all about them. And all of the sound effects from those games, even before I replayed them, I can hear them in my head if I want to imagine them, because I replayed those games so many times because I got my PS1 when I was I don't know how old I was. I was probably 3 or 4, so that was just my obsession. I
That's
just played it all
depressing.
the time. It's a thing, isn't it? I mean, I don't know how old you are, Dan. Maybe this is making you feel feelings and stuff. I mean that's part of the hope, I guess.
I don't know. When did it come out? 94. I
I
want
think
to
it was
say.
around then.
Yeah.
It was like mid-90s ish.
That'd
I
have been
was
about.
born in 1996.
Oh, fuck's sake!
I
I
don't know
would
what,
have. No, go on.
I was going to say, I don't know what you were born. Maybe I'm making you feel peculiar right now.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's okay. That's okay.
It came out in 1994, so I would have been 9 when it came out. And I didn't get one straight away because they were expensive, and it was kind of... I mean, you had the NESs and the SNESs and stuff, but it was back before spending a lot of money on games was justified by a lot of parents, I think. So I didn't get one till later, I remember. But,
I'm looking back at the shelf behind me and my small collection of PS1 games, and then my PS1 is sitting on the side.
Have you played them recently, Ben? Because though
I-
all those childhood games do not hold up as well, except for Toy Story 2, that game's actually quite good.
Well, so I'm looking and I have the Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone game, which isn't as bad as I remember it. Actually, it's actually
Oh, gosh.
held up quite well.
Yeah, but Harry Potter is actually a triangle.
Yeah, I mean, and, Hagrid's face is essentially a potato.
And the voices and the way they all talk to each other and stuff as well in that game, none of it sits right at all.
Not at all.
It's just so wrong and weird. Where Hermione just walks up to like Harry and Ron, and Ron's just like, Hermione's such a nerd, and then the camera suddenly spins to Hermione's face, and she's just like, no, I am not. It's just the best thing.
But I'm looking and I'm thinking, I've got Metal Gear Solid 1 and I've got Tenchu 1 and 2. I might replay Tenchu because I don't remember crazy much about it. I remember loving it.
It's weird. You really do have rose-tinted glasses when it comes to nostalgia, because obviously, as I kind of collect old consoles and games and stuff, and I don't know, like certain games, like especially when the new Resident Evil remake came out, in my head, Resident Evil was the best thing in the world. The graphics were amazing, the gameplay was amazing, and then I went back and played it before the new one come out, and I was like,
those tank controls, man.
Oh, it's just yeah, but they look like tanks as well.
The camera doesn't well.
Something else I noticed is that so many PlayStation 1 games don't use the analog stick at all and insist on you using the D-pad. Like, it's like, this is so uncomfortable. After like 45 minutes, it's too much for me. I just feel like leave my thumbs alone,
The only two exceptions I know of off the top of my head, Ape Escape is the big one. Ape Escape was like primarily analog sticks. You could not play with the directional pad. Because I remember getting that game, I didn't have an analog controller. And I was like pressing the button, like pressing the D-pad. I was like, why is he not fucking moving?
I remember when the DualShock 1 got released, it was a big thing because it was... So I've just looked it up. It was 1997, so it was 3 years after the PlayStation came out, which is quite a long time. And it was it was advertised as being a literal game changer, like it changes how you play the games. And they were very much, Gran Turismo was kind of the flagship that they really tried to push, saying like it will be a completely different experience. And I bought Gran Turismo on the back of that. And I think that's where my detest of racing games began, because it just doesn't do anything for me. But
see, my love of racing games began with Gran Turismo 2 and an analog DualShock controller.
Yeah, but by the time the second one came out, surely you were used to using them anyway.
Yeah, see, I mean the other game that I remember using the analog sticks for, I don't know if either of you will actually know about it. It was a game called Apocalypse. And it was basically a top-down game. As far as I'm aware, it's the first game to have a 3D model celebrity in it, because the main character is Bruce Willis.
Okay.
And
yeah, that does ring a bell.
You're in like some kind of like an out-of-space prison. I don't know how to explain it, and it gets a bit weird. It kind of tried to be a bit doomy.
What's it called again?
Apocalypse.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was like you were in this prison and you had to escape the prison, but it was like a top-down twin-stick shooter. So your left stick was your movement and your right stick was your gun.
Weapon. Yeah.
Look at that! They've actually got Bruce Willis's face on the box.
Yeah,
starring Bruce Willis in like massive words. That's amazing. We do not do that with games now.
No, you could use the D-pad to move, and like triangle would shoot forward, circle would shoot sideways, and triangle and circle at the same time would shoot like northeast. But then, I got it off my uncle, and he was like, "No, you need to play it with the twin sticks, like with the DualShock." And all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh wow, this game is amazing." It gets a bit weird later on. Like it starts off as aliens, and then some sort of gateway to another dimension opens, and there are demons and stuff. And
sounds about right.
It was a crazy ass game.
And you'll be interested to know there is an article about this game entitled "How a Troubled Game Starring Bruce Willis Led to the Skateboarding Revolution." So
I'm sorry, what?
I know. Apparently, this game that you're discussing led to the skateboarding revolution. I'm not going to read the whole article because I'm on a podcast, but I assume there's some great info in all of this text.
Oh, see, talking about skateboarding makes me remember see, Tony Hawk's 2 is like the game that everyone talks about, but
No, the first one was the bestest because it was just there was nothing like it before. God, I must have put in about
Thrasher.
1,000 hours.
There was a skateboarding game called Thrasher.
Yeah, I remember. It sucked.
Thrasher was better than Tony Hawk.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it.
No, it was not.
Yes,
Okay,
it
guys.
absolutely
Okay,
was.
I'm sorry, but Simpsons skateboarding clearly had what Tony Hawk didn't, and that is Bart Simpson falling over a lot.
God, do you remember there was a Simpsons wrestling game?
Yes.
Simpsons
Oh,
wrestling.
jeez.
I did not encounter that one. There's so
You
many
didn't
Simpsons.
encounter Simpsons wrestling? Oh my God!
Basically,
It
when
was-
like SmackDown got really big, any game that did well, the Simpsons cloned.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
gosh.
just
Pretty much.
Oh wow! Have you guys played Sonic Wrestling?
no.
No.
Yeah, it's
What?
like it's like Sonic and all of like and like Nipples the Enchilada and all of the other little
Nipples.
all the minor characters and stuff, all the little like rubbish ones. All they do wrestling. It's like I've only played it through someone else. I've never owned it myself, but it's so 90s. You play it like sometimes you're just a chameleon and you just have a tongue that is your attack. It's just like a whole thing. Although I'm looking at these pictures of this Simpsons wrestling game and the graphics on this are way better.
Well,
Wow.
I mean, so
There's just a picture here of what just looks like Apu randomly preparing to beat the shit out of Bart Simpson.
yeah, that sounds
Pretty
about right.
much.
Simpsons wrestling.
Oh,
yeah.
it's a GIF. Oh, he's got like he has a squishy, like he throws the milkshakes at him. That's one of his attacks. Because he works in that shop. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't know about this, Greg.
This is fascinating. I'm having the best time looking at all these, like, out of context, it just looks like Barney is stood here with a beer in his hand, ready to clobber Lisa with it.
Pretty much.
It's
I mean, that was essentially the game.
amazing. I've got to
Do
play
you know-
that.
The best Simpsons game is. Did anyone play the Simpsons arcade?
I did.
Where
Oh God, yeah, the
For-
like it was like a Streets of Rage kind of side-scrolling
yes,
beat 'em up thing.
yeah, for some reason Smithers was the bad guy and he kidnapped Maggie. I can't remember why, but it was like
Because Maggie tried to shoot him.
that sounds like lies.
Don't you remember the episode? No, she shot
She
Mr.
shot
Burns.
Mr. Burns.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Spoiler, by the
Come
way,
on.
if anyone's
Yeah,
been
that
under a rock
20,
for 30 years.
26-year-old spoiler.
Yeah, for anyone who saw part 1 but not part 2 of that.
But no,
Wow.
that was the best one because it was the side-scrolling one. But then you could team up with each other and do
Yes,
like a
that was it. Yeah.
tag team type move, running around killing everything, and it was so good.
Oh my God, do you remember? This is so weird because we were supposed to be talking about how we're currently dealing with this. We just can't. But Tekken 3, right? Tekken 3 is one of my like cherished gaming memories.
And you still
And-
can't beat me.
Which we've never played. Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we did. We
ruined it.
played at Playopolis, and you lost twice, and then rage quit.
No, I remember it the other way around, and you said, "Fuck this, let's play bloody Raw."
You liar! You made me play Pepsi Man. Anyway, that's a discussion for another day. I
What?
definitely beat you.
Right. Okay. Anyway,
Story
do you
there.
remember the side-scrolling mode on Tekken 3?
Was it Force? Tekken Force? Yes,
I
I
want to say it
do.
was something like that. Yeah, and it was like a side-scroller, and you basically had generic enemies that you had to beat up, and then there'd be like an enemy at the end that you had to destroy. For some reason, to this day, I must have been like 6 or 7 when I was playing this, so we're talking like 2 decades ago. But I remember the exact sound effect. There was like, I don't know why, there were chickens, like cooked chickens that you could pick up along the way that regenerated your health.
Yeah.
And every single time you picked it up, the game went, chicken.
Yeah.
Every
Chicken. Yeah, I remember that so well.
every single goddamn time. And to this day, I've remembered that sound effect.
Didn't you have to? I'm sure you had to finish that mode to get Dr. Boskonovich.
Yeah, you had to finish. There was like 4 or 5 levels you had to do.
And
I could never play as that guy. Fucking hell.
well, he just fell on the floor because he was like dying, wasn't he?
Yeah, but there was a technique to it. He had like a bunch of floor attacks that you could do.
Ugh, yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Memories.
God, yeah.
This is fascinating. So I'm on CEX right now, which is a used game distributor in the UK, and I'm looking. I typed in Simpsons, and there's like 300 results, and I'm just looking at all of these games, and there's a lot of them from like the original Game Boy, like Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly, and in the picture of the game box is Bart Simpson quite clearly leaving Lisa behind.
Yeah, I mean, well.
Bart and the Beanstalk is another one here.
Oh my fucking god, I had that game.
Did you? That's selling for £60. If you.
£60.
Yep.
It was dog shite. it was essentially like a side scroller. It was a beat 'em up. It was a side scrolling beat 'em up from what I remember. It was like basically, yeah, you played as Bart, who was playing the part of Jack and Jack and the Beanstalk, and yeah, there was something I can't remember what it was that you was getting from the castle, like the giant's castle, but you had a slingshot and you shot it at people.
See, one of my earliest gaming memories actually is a Simpsons game. Back when I got my Amiga when I was very, very young, and it was, I can't remember the actual title, but it was Bart against a load of aliens, and they spray painted everything purple, if I remember rightly, and you had to kind of go round and spray everything and remove the colour, which basically that's how you won for some reason. I can't remember much more.
The Space Mutants.
That's the one.
Oh, it's like a proper old school, like Paperboy kind of looking thing.
It was, yeah, it was a journey.
That sounds like a journey. This is amazing. I mean, we're not doing at all what we're supposed to be doing.
I mean, I'm cool with this.
I'm having a great time. This is like nostalgia for us all. We're all sort of thriving in it. I'm currently...
Because I remember playing Gran Turismo 2. Like, I mean, I'm not... So, my relationship with racing games is that basically I really, really like racing games, but I am such a try-hard at shit like that. And I know it will just absolutely obsess my life, so I do it in, like, moderation.
Sure.
Because I know for a fact that, like, I was playing Dirt Rally 2.0 the other day, and absolutely fucking brilliant Dirt Rally game. But it gives you so many options for how you want to fine-tune every single aspect of your car, and I was like, I will just lose myself in this and just get nothing done at all.
I think that's part of my problem with them, is just because they're so in-depth, and if you don't have that kind of interest, they can be a little bit overwhelming. Like, bring me back to the days of Sega Saturn, Sega Rally, two cars, about 8 tracks. That was your lot.
Yeah.
I could cope with that. You could be automatic or manual. That was the only choice you were given.
That was the thing. Like, I remember playing Gran Turismo 2 and sitting down to do my first Le Mans track, which is like 24-hour race. It's like you have to do, I can't remember, it's like 200 and something laps you have to do, like something crazy. And you physically have to drive into the pit lane ever so often to change a driver, because you can't have one driver. And I remember just being like, this is amazing. I love this.
That sounds like a slow death.
Oh, see, I don't know why at the time. I just absolutely loved it.
But then again, I'm similar with certain games. Like, there's some puzzle games. I think I was talking to you about it the other day, Ben. There's a couple of puzzle games that I've spent many hours on just because. Like, I don't know.
I can't really stand puzzle games. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah,
I hate puzzle games. They are like, I feel similarly to them as I do about platformers, where like I'm not enjoying anything about the challenge, and once I've done the challenge, I'm just like, I just spent all that time doing that challenge, and I just want to do something else.
Yeah. God.
It have to be a good puzzle game for me to really to get into it. I mean, to be honest, there aren't many. I'm talking, this is more kind of retro nostalgia thinking, because there aren't really many. It's not a particularly big genre now. I think because back in the day it was easy to make a puzzle game with the limited kind of capabilities you had on systems, but now people don't want to pay out for a puzzle game when they can have, you know.
I think they still exist. I think they've just moved to mobile. Like the world that we live in, they fit mobile more.
Mm.
Yeah, the last like game I can think of that like was charging like full game price for a puzzle was like Portal. I don't think I think it's rare for the consumer to feel like a puzzle game is necessarily going to be worth their full game price.
Can we just talk about Portal for a second? Because I never played Portal 1, but I played Portal 2, and that shit fucking blew my mind.
Portal 1 is so good, you should play it.
Like, seeing myself in that portal fucking blew my mind. Like, I'm not even lying.
Your mind is not easily blown.
Portal 2 is phenomenal, but my favourite thing about Portal 1 is the way that it unravels a story without doing much. So you start playing it thinking, oh, okay, this is how it's going to be. They've given me this portal gun. I'm going to just do puzzles in these white rooms and work my way through it. And then you start going kind of behind the scenes and seeing, seeing prior people that have been doing the puzzles. And then GLaDOS starts to kind of lose it and starts to be really horrible. And I just thought it was amazing, so amazingly done. I've never played anything since that has had that same kind of wow in terms of story. It was just
I really like
clever.
The comedy in the writing. They are such funny games.
Oh, both of the Portal. I mean, I've seen parts of Portal 1. Like I've watched playthroughs and stuff of like YouTubers and stuff because. Yeah, I mean, me and Dan have had this conversation a couple of times. Like I don't watch TV. My content comes from YouTube. I'm predominantly a YouTube person, and like YouTube and anime. That's about it. I don't really watch Netflix anymore either.
No, well, I mean, you're missing out on such hit TV shows as Hot or Not.
Tiger King.
I've seen Tiger King. Is actually. That bitch down in Florida. Fucking love that.
So fun.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about Tiger King because that's a different podcast.
But I want.
We have a Tiger King podcast.
Oh, we should do. Okay, let's talk. Right, let's after the 20-minute nostalgia trip, let's kind of bring it back around.
Yeah, let's reel it in.
That is how we've been coping, by completely ignoring what's going on in the world and just looking into the past.
For sure.
I mean, so at the minute, 2 games have been dominating my life, absolutely dominating it, and that's Persona 5 Royale and Animal Crossing. And I just haven't done anything else with my time except play them.
I can't believe Animal Crossing is still dominating your time a week later. Even Chloe's getting bored of it at this point.
It's alright, so it's becoming a bit of a strange one because it's kind of at the point where so you have a maximum of 10 islanders. I have my 10 islanders. I have the shops. I'm talking to Tom Nook, and normally Tom Nook tells you what to do, and he's just like, I don't know what to do, live your best life.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was kind of my wind down game, because I finish work at like 5 a.m. because of working nights. Like I get home and it's like, okay, play a bit of Animal Crossing, just chill, and then we'll go to sleep. But it is kind of getting to the point where I'm like, other than the people call it cataloguing items, so basically just collecting items because once you have one of them, you can order another one at any time.
That's something for the Dans of this world. The collecting, achieving minded people. But maybe not for you.
No, it's kind of meh. Other than I'm en route to get my island looking the way I want it to look. And then after that, I'm just like, am I really going to log in every day to hit a couple of rocks? I don't know if I will. I don't know on the longevity of the game.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing it with other people. It's quite fun. Like we've got like some, get a timer, and you set a time limit, and then basically everyone gets a count of how many fish they've caught or how many insects they caught. So we do like tournaments and stuff, and just silly little stuff. It's mainly just to be in a video chat with my friends and have a laugh and dick about. So yeah, that was that. But Persona 5 Royal, oh my fucking god.
So Persona games are about, I don't actually know the answer, so I'm sort of going to guess. They're about, like, chatting and, like, making friends and, like, dialogue and choices. Is that what they are? No?
Yes
Yeah.
and no.
Yes and no.
So, okay, I mean, Persona 5, I'm currently 70 hours into the game. And I am nowhere near finished.
Wow.
I'd say I'm probably about 2/3 of the way through the game.
Gosh, that's a lot.
Yeah. So, basically, the way Persona 5, you don't need to play any of the previous Personas to play it. They're not linked. It's just a franchise called, and it's carried on. Okay, cool. So, you don't need to have played any of the previous ones. So, in this one, basically, the long and short of it is there's an alternative world called the Metaverse. And then, Meta,
Meth.
META.
METH.
In the Metaverse,
Ah, okay.
you have these places called palaces. And palaces are when people have a distortion of the world around them, it creates a palace in the Metaverse. And it kind of becomes like their own world where they're the ruler. So the first person is the coach on the volleyball team. And basically he's a gold medalist who's become a coach at a high school. And because he's won a gold medal before, and because he's brought this volleyball team up and they've been successful, he's kind of viewed as like this god at the school. So he kind of gets it into his head, like, I'm the king of this castle. Mm-hmm. This is my place. I'm untouchable. And you end up at his palace, and you basically find out that he's been abusing the volleyball team physically, like punching them and stuff. He's been grooming some of the female students, and it all gets a bit dark and a bit heavy. And basically, they have one item that is their treasure, their most valued possession. And by stealing that treasure from the palace in the Metaverse, you basically cause a change in cognition and basically make them atone for their sins and confess to what they've done. So the entire game, it starts off, you do the volleyball coach, you change his heart, and then it regresses, you get a new person, and you take that person down, and then it grows and grows and grows. The targets become bigger. You end up doing like mafia bosses and business CEOs and stuff like that, and the whole time your group are becoming more popular, and there's a sway in the opinion of you, like, are they doing right, are they doing wrong? So there's all of that backdrop to the story.
That's fascinating. I've never
honestly
heard
amazing.
Of a game
So
like this before.
when you're not doing that, you
bizarre.
do. I say attend to school. You don't attend school per se. It kind of, if you wake up in the morning, it fast travels you to school, and sometimes it may play out that you in a classroom and you have to answer a question asked by the teacher. And so it will be like really obscure things. Some things I knew, some things I didn't. One of them was like, how many black and white patches are on a soccer ball. So you get an answer, you get 3 choices, you answer. If you get it right, then 32, 20 white
64.
Because I answered it incorrectly and wasn't told.
How did I know this?
I just guessed.
But if you answer it correctly, your knowledge is and then you do kind of build these relationships. If you the stronger your bonds are with your teammates, the more abilities you get in the Metaverse. It makes it easier to go through the Metaverse, and you get abilities that help you in combat and all sorts of stuff. So it's like a slice of life game mixed with a dungeon crawler. It's they all kind
They're
of
all
have
they're
slice of
all
life with
similar
dungeon
to that, aren't
crawling
they? That's kind of the
in some way. But I mean,
yeah.
I think my mate was playing Persona 4 a couple of years back when I was at uni.
Okay.
He said he sunk like 110 hours into it before he completed it. They're all very long games. Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's just kind of
I
standard
wrote the review
JRPG
today,
length, really, isn't it?
and I was saying to Dan beforehand, like, it's the first perfect score I've given a game on site. I was looking at it, the only one that got close was Spider-Man. Spider-Man got like 97%, I think it was. I fucking love that Spider-Man Insomniac game.
That's a pretty high percent.
But yeah,
That's a
so
great
I'm
game,
just
wasn't it?
obsessed with
It
Persona.
was very good.
And at the minute I'm reviewing another game, and all I can think about is not reviewing that game and playing Persona. But
I don't think I'm going to
Sounds
get to
quite
make
fun.
the most of these
Probably not,
30%
Greg,
off my
unfortunately.
mains at Bella Italia coupons.
I hate to break it to you.
That's really sad, because you can get some nice stuff there sometimes, and here they are, they expire on the
So you're
3rd of
definitely
May.
not getting
So
them.
they did just expire. Oh, that's really sad. That's terrible news. That's just terrible.
I've
they do a
never
really good
ever been
breakfast
to
there,
Bella Italia,
like,
and I
really
don't
nice.
think I
It's
ever
quite cheap as well.
will. No.
Ever.
Guys, I think
I'm
we're
just-
heading
I'm
down a
getting
rabbit
Dragon Ball
hole. I'm just
flashbacks.
going to block it off before you get there.
Okay, so Dan, what have you been doing with your
Oh,
time?
wow, that was great. I love that.
Oh, it was so good.
We had so much fun. We were in Birmingham. I'd never been before.
For anyone listening, we met in person. We do actually know each other, sort of.
It was, yeah.
It's the only time I've met these two in public.
You were taller
The
than
only
I
time they've
expected.
seen me when I've seen them at the very least. I know, I'm taller than I expect. I consistently keep growing. I don't know what I am now. I was 6 foot like a couple of years ago, and I bashed my head on things I didn't
Still a
used
God,
to.
you're
So
still a growing
who
lad,
knows
isn't
what I
you?
am
Wow.
now?
12
Yeah.
feet tall.
I'm a grown boy. I drink milk every day for my bones.
No, it's got calcium. It's
Healthy
good for you.
bones.
But again,
is that true?
rabbit
That
hole.
sounds like rubbish, isn't it?
Is that going to be the
Yeah.
new kind of turn of phrase that if anyone's talking shit, we just shout rabbit hole and then you have to go back to topic?
I mean, that sounds
We
like
could
a
call this podcast
strange one.
Rabbit Hole.
We yes.
Yeah,
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like a naughty website, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
naughty
okay, Dan,
podcast.
you've been
We're now going down
kind
a
of
rabbit
smashing
hole,
out your
rabbit hole.
backlog. That sounds weird, but you.
That sounds like a rabbit hole podcast talk.
That's yeah. Smash out your backlog. Tell us about that, Dan.
I no,
yeah,
I haven't
exactly.
actually. Well,
you
I
post, dude. You're
Fucking
very
hell, I'm gonna
active
check
on the old
Instagram.
Insta.
yeah, it's because
I mean-
all my friends are digital. I haven't actually. So it looks like on Instagram that I've been doing lots and lots and lots of gaming, but it turns out that I'm incredibly lazy and have a habit of taking more screenshots than I need, and I hadn't actually uploaded anything about any games I've been playing since November. So although it looks like I've just completed sort of 8 or 9 AAA games in a week, I haven't. That's over the last few months. I think the last games I actually played and finished were Resident Evil and Final Fantasy, which we've discussed.
Oh,
And in the
my
last
God, is
couple
it
of
any
days,
good?
I've
It looks
started
amazing.
Astral Chain on the Switch. I'm not a huge way into it at the moment, because like every time I go to play my Switch, I forget that I've unplugged it, and then it's dead, and then so are the pads. So I didn't get to
Do you
play
not
much
keep
on
it
the
in your
first
dock?
day. Yeah, but there's only I've got like about 8 consoles downstairs, and there's only a finite
I mean, how
jobs.
is
How is
your
Switch
birthday's
not one of
coming
your
up in
priority
June? I was going
bugs?
to buy you a fucking 10 socket extension, and then you don't have to worry about that anymore.
Those are great, aren't
Yeah,
they?
man.
How
I
would
think I've
you?
got like a 10 one as
Yeah,
well.
go
I
on.
needed
Yeah.
it, you know.
So Astral Chain, yeah, it's really good. It's very. I don't really know how to describe it. So
That's funny because I've got the Wikipedia open right now. Set in a dystopian future Earth, the game follows the events of a special police task force that protects the remnants of humanity from interdimensional creatures and aberrations that invade the planet. Oh, that sounds good.
So you play as a one half of a set of twins, and you have two kind of modes of attack, which is a baton or a gun. And you also, shortly into the game, you get this thing called a legion, which is kind of like one of the interdimensional enemy type things, but it's chained to you. So the game is kind of a hack and slash at heart, but you can also, so when you summon your legion, it fights on its own, but you can also control it manually and move it around. So you can't directly attack with it, but what you can do is you can like wrap the chain around enemies and it will lock them in place, and if an enemy charges at you, you can position yourself and the legion either side of it, and it goes into the chain,
very
and then you
Devil
fling
May
it
Cry.
across the map. So it's not as fast, it's not as kind of quick acting. You know, with Devil May Cry, you would kind of hit them up in the air, and then a different button did your gun and things like that. You have to actually manually change between your gun and your baton, so it's not quite as fluid. But your twin has also got a legion, and she's fighting alongside you, so you've always got kind of four things attacking at the same time, and in between kind of attacks you do kind of investigations. So you'll investigate an area. You've got this thing called something or other, which I can't remember what it's called, but when you turn it on, it's kind of like, you know, the Batman games when you go into detective mode, similar to that, and you investigate the area and work out kind of things that have happened, follow trails, because basically this other dimension exists alongside ours, and they have been snatching people, and they can also infect people, and they turn into
really have a
these
thing
interdimensional creaturey things.
I was going to say, the Japanese really have a thing for like
task
parallel
force.
dimensions, don't they?
Go on. Yeah, parallel dimensions, young protagonists, and kind of
So you're what, like
world-ending events. I can't think. Killing them off, really. So the mission that, because like I say, I'm not that far into it, but the mission I've just done is a bridge had fallen down, so I had to investigate the area, which showed that there was this massive handprint on the floor, and it worked. It came about that it was this kind of specialist demon type thing with a giant hand, and I had to follow its trail and eventually basically put it down. So not everybody can see them, and like your legion, not everyone can see your legion either. You can, because you've got this detective mode type thing. So yeah, I mean, it's like whenever you try and explain a heavily Japanese influenced game, it sounds nonsensical, but it's fun. It does seem to be fun to play, and it's kind of it doesn't seem particularly hard going.
It's got robots.
You've just reminded me that I have
It's got robots in it
on my PS4 installed, ready for when I finish Persona. Okay.
That's pretty cool. I've just bought a new game, actually. I've just bought the remake of Trials of Mana, which I'm quite excited about. So
I have just bought a cool new monitor, which will be bigger than one of my existing monitors.
Damn.
And it will be 4K.
I mean, that ray tracing.
Minecraft will never look so good.
Ha! Oh. Well, I mean, the trouble is, I'm going to be partially using it for PC games, but mostly using it as my second monitor for my work laptop. So a lot of the time, it's just going to have spreadsheets on it.
I mean, it didn't need to be 4K.
It's not a waste of money when you're at your desk all the time.
Touche.
It does if I'm going to use it for PC games. Checkmate.
Talk about using a global pandemic to live your best life, Greg.
Yeah, well, you know, if you want to look at an Excel spreadsheet for literally all of your life, you might as well see it in the best possible detail that is available.
Does it still have the hidden game, the Magic 8 Ball?
I think a wee bit, yeah.
What?
Am I showing my age now?
Is that like Minesweeper?
No, so there used to be in, oh god, I don't know what edition, but Word, spreadsheets and PowerPoint all had a hidden game in them. If you did a certain amount of certain commands, you could access these games, and I think the spreadsheet one was a Magic 8 Ball.
Wow, that's really great, Dan.
I promise
Tell us about the before times.
I promise it's a thing. We didn't have nice stuff. We had to make do. You mock me, but I guarantee you're going to look it up.
You overestimate my curiosity. I've already forgotten half of what you said. Something about Minesweeper, yeah?
God, I hate you.
Okay, so
I love Minesweeper.
Is Astral Train worth the money though, Dan? Or have you not played enough to work out?
Yeah, I think so. When I was looking for a game the other day, I saw it for about 32, 33 quid now, so less than kind of 45, 50 than it was when it came out. So I think for that price, it looks really, really nice. It's kind of it's kind of anime style,
it's not
but
full
cel
anime,
shaded.
is it? You can tell it's Japanese inspired, but
no. But yeah,
they've got floppy anime hair in it.
Yes, that is true. But yeah, it's just good fun. I just, it's not particularly strategic or cerebral so far. You can just pick it up and play. And I feel like, so I haven't got to it yet, but I know that you can get different legions. So the one that I've got at the moment is just kind of a humanoid type creature with a baton or a sword. I know you can get one that's more like a dog, and you can get one that so as you're going through the levels, there's certain parts you can't access unless you've got the right legion. So I know that they're coming, and I know that I'm going to go back and revisit levels and go to new places and stuff once I've got more legions. So I think it's got a fair amount of kind of replay value and stuff to it. So yeah, it's worth a look. And I mean, there's not a massive amount.
Yeah, it's weird.
Really about at the moment. I think because I mean, I had so much stuff coming out in sort of May, June time. Obviously, because I'm at uni, so I'd be finished till September from June. So I was like, oh, summer's full. But now it's all kind of been pushed back and tweaked and stuff. So I'm going to do Astral Chain and then kind of hit the backlog, I think.
Assuming you haven't seen this. Yeah. Oh, if you haven't heard, Greg, you need to be careful.
Oh, have they put that back in? Have they?
People have been leaking the ending to The Last of Us.
Oh.
Yeah, and the directors
that's really
basically confirmed that the leaks are true, and it's just said, do your best not to share them with other people.
Just don't Google it.
I'm a little sad that they haven't put it back in place in the original time, because it lines up perfectly with Chloe's birthday, and she really loves the game. We were going to play it, and here we go.
Well,
no Last of Us birthday event. It's so hard to plan a birthday event, for Chloe.
My anniversary is in July.
Where are we going to go, guys?
Depending how strict these bins stay, I don't know what we're going to do.
It comes out the day before my birthday now. So,
yeah, you're sorted. You're fucking.
Screw you guys. I'm gonna have something to do. dear.
You
Yeah,
really do disgust me, Dan.
Oh,
So we got Last of Us in June, and then Ghosts of Tsushima in July. So there
That
are still a
game
few things on the horizon, but I think most
so
stuff's the end of the
goddamn
year
good.
now. I haven't looked anything into it other than it's
So-
pretty, and the dynamic theme I downloaded is very, very
It's
nice. And on the back of that, I
it's kind
have
of like
pre-ordered
a
it.
generic kind of free roamy kind of Witcher-ish game, from what I can tell. But the cool part is there's no map, so you have to, because obviously it's kind of set in like an ancient Japan setting. Japan. There's no map. There's no like sort of live map with markers or anything like that. You have to learn the lay of the land by using the landmarks. Yeah, I know. But the other cool part as well is that
Learning.
your your allies can like rule turn
Google
against
the map.
you, which obviously is things that have been done before. But like they will actually defect to other factions, and you will have to fight against them in the future. If you
Nah, man, I'm just going to go
So,
solo
yeah.
and kill everything in sight.
I mean, I said this in the Persona 5
And
review.
having no backstabbers.
Like, I'm a sucker for anything kind of Japanese, man. Like, I'll openly admit. You know,
Same.
I'm mostly indifferent in the way that I am to most countries. I mean, you know, they're doing well. They've got people and animals in them. That's cool. You know.
Just being over there, just being Switzerland.
Just doing the Switzerland thing. You know, whatever they're up to. Probably they've got a better view than I do. Probably, statistically, out of their windows. But you know, I'm sure their video games is just as. Well, it's different, isn't it? Because you do get different cultural influences in different games, and that is so clear to see in things like Eastern European games or Japanese games. You can tell that they are not the same as American games. Like, you can see it
it's
with your eyes.
yeah. I don't think I've ever played a Eastern European game. Oh, for real?
Well, their horror games like shit you up. Yeah, they're like they got this like sort of vibe of just endless like nothing. I can't even remember what game I'm talking about, but I've played one that is from Eastern Europe, and like there's just like this oppression, and it's not like in other horror games where you're like running away from something. It's more just like, you know, there's nowhere to run away to. It's all like this. That's how it feels.
Well, if you remember, let me know, because that sounds like my sort of thing. I could be on board with that.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Don't get
same.
excited about my memory. Who knows?
I mean,
what I'll think
that
of
we can
next,
agree
but it
with,
won't
yeah.
be the answer.
Well, yeah. So I don't think there's much else to say, really. Yeah, we are using games
Yeah, I think
to
this has been a
escape
nice little podcast.
and enjoying our nostalgia trips.
We sure are.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, and also catching up with backlogs as Dan does, and as I am doing. You know, you just got to do it. This is a great time.
Do you want to hear something? I wasn't going to share this, but I'm going to share the level
Oh.
of extra that I am. I have actually listed my backlog and then went onto a website which I love to use called How Long to Beat, so that I know how long each one takes, so that I can start on the short ones and get rid of as many as possible.
I expect nothing
That's
less
a great
from you,
idea.
Dan. I really don't.
Wow, that's so
You do.
ingenious.
I remember being shown the app. on
I
the
love a
phone that
list.
shows you
What can I
games you have,
say?
which games you have in your collection, and which ones you don't. So when you're retro hunting, you know which ones to buy.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. Which makes
Wow.
complete sense, but then I think the developer or whoever made that app have just given up with it. So it barely works anymore. So I've got like 700 games in that app, and I need to find a new one and rescan.
I remember you
the
was
whole
like,
lot.
it was actually
So
really cool
I'm
like that.
mad
You
at
had like
that.
organised by platform and then it was
Gosh.
alphabetical. So
Well, just before everyone
Yeah,
thinks I'm an uber nerd, it does it all for you. It has a barcode scanner, and you scan the games and it catalogues them. But when you've got kind of I think my last count is I've got to be pushing 1,000 games now. You do lose track, and my kind of 5 copies of GTA San Andreas will let you know that I do need help when I'm buying retro games. So, but yeah, how long to beat, or if you just put HLTB and then the name of the game, it'll give you. It's like a average user poll of how long people have, and it will tell you sort of to complete the story is this amount of time, completionist is this amount of time, gives you an overview of what's what, and I found it really useful because there's been games where I'm like, I really fancy playing that, and then I look it up on how long to beat, and it's like 100 hours, and it's like, well, I don't have that to give a game at the moment, so
I'm
just play something else.
convinced that like they won't have an answer for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it will just be the infinity symbol.
I'm kind of gutted that I'm still working now.
Oh,
yeah, I can imagine.
Let's see. How long to? What was it?
It's got 100. It says you can beat the main story in 40 hours in Odyssey, which is definitely bullshit because I have done about 60 hours now, and I have been almost entirely barreling through the main story when possible. But sometimes the main story just suddenly jumps up many levels, and you're just like, that's gonna take ages to get up to that level.
Well, they polled 302 people, and the average is 40 hours and 21 minutes.
Those people are like robots, I think.
That's crazy. So I was looking at
I don't believe these numbers. I can't.
Main story is 100 hours. Completionist is 141, which sounds about right.
Well, having used the website for a fair few years, they are. I mean, I can't speak for Assassin's Creed because I play good games, but
Whoa.
I mean, to be fair,
they are usually pretty close.
I can't think of a single Viking assassin, Greg. What's with this Valhalla thing going on? Yeah.
I know, they did a trailer which told us absolutely nothing other than Vikings. I'm interested in it actually because I really liked Origins, and I really liked how basically the whole map of Origins is just Greece and like the Greek islands. So you go to them and you shoot things and stuff. I expect Valhalla to literally just be that, but with coastal Europe and England and like Wales and Scotland and maybe Ireland. That actually is a kind of interesting idea, but they're giving us literally no content to chew through. So what am I going to do other than think?
You will definitely buy it.
I probably will buy it.
It feels.
I really liked Odyssey.
I've got some friends that are really excited about it, but to me, after the God of War, the most recent God of War, you've really got to go some to kind of to beat that in my eyes, and that because it's that mythology, isn't it? The Norse mythology, and I don't know. I'm not sure. Plus, it's been so long since I played one. Like, I loved the first couple of Assassin's Creed, but then they all started getting a bit weird, and instead of being it felt like they would at one point they were just chucking out yearly updates with sometimes one in between, like a spin-off in between.
It feels
there was
that
so
way
many of them that I just gave up.
Yeah, literally they were just churning them out once a year. And I think me and Ben, we once did a recording of not this podcast, but it was of some other recording we did with some random people I never saw again, and the recording didn't work, where I discussed at great length how Assassin's Creed really needs to go to one game every 2 years, and a game every year is just wearing everyone out and no one's getting anything out of it. And they did it, and I really liked Origins, although I wish it didn't get so. They need to learn, and I've loved Odyssey, I'm still playing it now, but they need to learn how to finish the game a bit sooner. They need to just 55 hours is too long for an Assassin's Creed game. I don't have it in me. Come on.
So what what was his name? Was it Desmond? Like, what happened with his whole story? Is it still going, or have they like what happened? Because I enjoyed the first two and I liked the story. I think I played the first three actually.
So my memory of how they wrap up his story in Assassin's Creed 3 is it all builds to how, the ancient precursors or whatever they're called, they had all this. There was like a massive solar flare or something that destroyed their race, but humans survived, and it's happening again. And Desmond has the choice to let all of humanity die, but then have the chance to begin again, which is what happened last time, or not do that, and then it's just going to be terrible anyway because the Templars have won, basically. I think that's how that ended, and it's irrelevant because we never see the impact of either choice, because I don't understand how all the games after it have interacted with that choice, because it was pretty final either way, unless I guess we're to assume that he chose to let society keep going and the Templars have basically won.
So basically they just kind of thought they scrapped that and started again. That's how it's.
I don't really know. I'm not gonna lie to you, Dan. All of these Desmond, all the futuristic bits in Assassin's Creed, I'm so bored. I'm just running through it as quick as possible to get back in time stuff.
So it's brilliant. It's just kind of my backing up my whole thoughts about Assassin's Creed. When you actually ask a fan, okay, so if I was looking to get back into it, where would I start? And they're like, I don't fucking know.
You really can start wherever you like. I wouldn't view it as a long, continuous, epic narrative they're telling. I mean, I would probably tell you to start at Assassin's Creed 4 if you wanted to get back into it, because that's probably the one that's nailed, the most perfectly delivered of all the Assassin's Creed games. That one was really good.
Okay.
Recommend it highly.
Okay, I may think about it, because I mean, if the Norse one's good, I wouldn't hate it. And I've seen people playing Odyssey, and what was the other one? There was another one that was like Odyssey, wasn't there?
Origins.
Yeah, and they looked quite interesting. It looked, because from what I remember from the other ones, they were very, very much stealthy. Very much you couldn't deviate from the path, and if you accidentally stabbed a villager in the face, you would fail the mission and stuff. But when I watched someone play the newer ones, it just looked like they were just kicking crap out of everything. So
yeah, they've definitely oriented the game more to being RPG and less stealth sections and stuff like that. It's more open than it was, and that's compromised some things, but it's also gained some things. See what you think. I think
I was just sitting listening to the Greg
yes, I think so.
His passion.
It's weird thinking about it in that way, because I've never considered myself massively into Assassin's Creed games, but I do play all of them and I do have a lot to say about them, so maybe I am.
Yeah, it's up there with Minecraft and Fallout for ones that get you talking.
I do talk. Well, I don't shut the fuck up is my problem. Anyway, I just talk a lot.
But we love you.
I could do this show on my
own. Yeah, I feel like that's a nice little ending point.
Wouldn't be as good.
No.
Nice way of ending it. Yeah. Greg doesn't need us.
No. I want to be clear that this wouldn't be high quality content.
Oh yeah, no.
It would not be good, but I could talk for an hour.
The ramblings of a madman.
That's what I meant. I mean, there's a reason why I choose to do this with you two.
I will. Yeah, we will see you guys next week. Anything you want to say before we sign off?
Stay safe, friends. Look after yourselves.
Bye now.
Yes, what Greg said.
Bye.
Bye.